There are multiple starting quarterbacks entering the trade block, potentially entering the trade block this upcoming offseason. And not only is there multiple starting quarterbacks, but big name, future Hall of Famer, all pros, Super Bowl champion quarterbacks who are entering the trade block. Now, I took five starters here. Now, these are five starters who I can see being traded this offseason. Starting at number five, we have Deshaun Watson. Now, the thing about Watson, I just don't see a scenario where a team is going to take on that contract. It is a massive contract. Hence why the Texans are trying to give Deshaun Watson away at this point. Deshaun Watson, if he's traded before June 1st this offseason, he has 4 more years left on his contract. He's under contract for the next 4 seasons, and that would save him $119.8 million. If they trade him after June 1st, it'll save him $136 million over the next 4 years. And I have Deshaun Watson fifth on this list because I simply don't see a team taking on that contract, as Deshaun Watson should be on the commissioner's exempt list and not allowed to play. I can't stand the guy. I don't like him. But here's the facts. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in football. As a matter of fact, he might be top five, top four in talent alone in football. Now, there's so much more to the quarterback position than just talent. I mean, number one is obviously Patrick Mahomes. Number two is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, those are interchangeable. Josh Allen could be number three. Deshaun Watson's probably the fourth most talented quarterback in football right now. And for that reason, he could be traded away. But there's so much more than just talent at the quarterback position. It's really leadership. Leadership is a massive role that the quarterbacks have to play. And I just don't see a team rallying around a quarterback that has so many sexual assault allegations and is just not a likable guy. I don't see it happening. And leadership that's the problem with him. But that being said, very talented. And if he can win the locker room, will have a successful career going forward. And that's why the Texans continue to try to trade him away, is because he should be on the commissioner's exempt list. He should. But it would save him so much money if they trade him away. $136 million if they trade him after June 1st over the next 4 seasons. And that would also be $16.2 million of dead cap. So definitely worth it on the Texans. And they could trade him away for what, like fifth round draft pick? I mean, you can give up basically nothing for Deshaun Watson, but you're taking on that massive contract, second highest paid player in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes. Number fourth on this list, we have Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson, he's not going to be traded. I'm just going to cut straight to it. He's not going to be traded. I just don't see this. Russell Wilson might request a trade. He might ask for a trade, but even though the Seahawks got fourth in their division, they're not entering a rebuild. They simply aren't. Russell Wilson is playing for one of the best wide receiver duos in football. And Gerald Everett has stepped up at tight end too. He's playing for one of the best head coaches in football. Now, Seahawks fans asking for Pete Carroll to get rid of Pete Carroll, I mean, that is a very like in the moment emotional decision, because absolutely not. No, Pete Carroll should not leave the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to stay their head coach. Russell Wilson should stay their quarterback. But if Russell Wilson does really want a trade that bad, there's a lot of teams in the AFC that would be willing to take on that trade. I don't see a case where the Vikings would trade and be able to get Russell Wilson, so my Vikings will likely not have him. But he could be traded to one of the teams in the AFC, somewhere like Indianapolis, Denver, Pittsburgh. We might see even Cleveland, because Baker Mayfield is looking terrible. Cleveland could also take on Russell Wilson's contract. If Wilson is traded before June 1st this offseason, it'll save him only $38 million of cap. That's less than half of his salary. His salary is up to $39 million and is 1 more year left on his contract. So really no reason right there for the Seattle Seahawks to trade him away, because it's just $39 million of dead cap. Absolutely not. That is a ridiculous amount of money. And I believe he is set to hit free agency after this season. Yeah, so he has 1 more year left in his contract. So no, Russell Wilson is not going to be traded at that. But if they trade him away after June 1st, it will save him $51 million of cap space, which is still not that great considering they're going to be $26 million against the cap. And I just don't see a scenario where the Russell Wilson is in any other uniform than Seattle Seahawks next year. Just even if he asks for a trade, I honestly don't see this happening, because Seattle Seahawks might have finished fourth in their division. They're not in a rebuild. They aren't. They just have to continue to ride Russell Wilson until the wheels fall off, basically, and likely can sneak in another playoff appearance. But another Super Bowl, not looking quite at that. But they just have to load up on defense. It's not Russell Wilson's fault. Yes, he did look terrible this season. He had a massive down year. Hence why they shouldn't trade him away, by the way, because now his trade value just dropped a bunch. You should keep him on your roster. Just try to bring in a bunch of defensive players. maybe LOB version 2. Try to just bring in a bunch of defensive players in this upcoming draft because that is what the Seattle Seahawks need. Why he's fourth in this list, I just don't think it's going to happen. Next up, we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, here's my prediction right now. I get it. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing in the NFC Championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be the starting quarterback for the Niners next year. It's not going to happen. Why? Because it'll save them so much money if they cut him or if they trade him. If they trade away Jimmy Garoppolo, it'll save them $25.5 million of cap space the next year, and only 1.4 against the cap. That is a massive upgrade. And same would happen if they cut him. So if they cannot find a trade destination for Jimmy Garoppolo, they should cut him. Why? Because you just drafted Trey Lance in the first round, 3rd overall. He is your future franchise quarterback that you have to roll with. Jimmy Garoppolo is not showing that he's worth his contract. He simply isn't. And there's no reason to pay him all this money when you don't have to. The 49ers' focus right here should be on extending Deebo Samuel, who's set to hit free agency after this upcoming season. Same goes for Nick Bosa and Dee Ford. They have multiple players, multiple star core players on their team that they have to focus on bringing back, and just about every running back as well. I think Raheem Mostert, Eli Mitchell, and JaMychal Hasty, and Jeff Wilson, 4 running backs right there, are all also set to hit free agency. So that's got to be what their focus is here, is not on paying Jimmy Garoppolo that overpaid contract, but simply just focusing on your core players, and that's Deebo Samuel, that's Nick Bosa, that's Dee Ford, and that's maybe one of your running backs, Eli Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, whoever they decide to bring back. That's got to be where their money goes. So yes, 49ers should trade away Jimmy Garoppolo. If they can't find a destination, they should cut him away. Number 2, we have my quarterback, Kirk Cousins. My QB1 is expected to make $45 million in 2022. $45 million. Now, Vikings fans, let me restate this real quick. If the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins, it would save us $35 million of salary. $35 million of salary. We're not competing in next year. We simply aren't. $35 million. Now, the Vikings aren't going to cut him because that would be $45 million against the cap, and that's not going to happen. If the Vikings can trade away Kirk Cousins for a first-round draft pick to maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, Indianapolis Colts, what's another team that has a late first-round draft pick? We have Steelers, Colts, Denver. I mean, there's multiple trade destinations in the AFC that are looking for a quarterback right now and are a quarterback away from competing and should trade for Kirk Cousins. If we trade away Kirk Cousins, it would be so crucial for a salary cap. So big. If we trade him away before June 1st, after June 1st, it saves us $35 million of salary. That's enough to bring back Tyler Conklin. That's enough to maybe bring back Xavier Woods, Mason Cole. You can look to free agency and completely load up on young talent. Harold Landry. Okay? We have Davis as well. We have multiple players entering free agency that we can bring on our roster because, yes, we are in a rebuilding mode. Any Vikings fan that doesn't agree with me is simply wrong. When you fire your head coach, when you fire your GM, you are entering a rebuilding phase, and it's only right that you trade away Kirk Cousins when it saves us $35 million. If the Vikings don't trade away Kirk Cousins, fine. Roll with him one more year. Just please, for the love of God, do not extend Kirk Cousins again. It just doesn't make sense. And if we trade away Kirk Cousins, you might ask yourself, well, why would anybody take on his contract? If we trade Kirk Cousins, they're just going to simply extend him. Give him a 3-year contract. Maybe kick the can down a couple years. Make all of this salary cap hit in a couple years like the Vikings did, and now it's finally hitting us. And now he's expected to make $45 million of guaranteed money in 2022. Guaranteed money, $45 million. A team has never won the Super Bowl where the quarterback is making more than 13% of the salary cap. Ours is making over 20% of our salary cap. Okay? There is no reason at all why the Vikings should not trade Kirk Cousins. Number 1, and you all have been waiting for it, Aaron Rodgers set to hit the trade block this upcoming offseason. Aaron Rodgers, after the post-game press conference where they lost to the 49ers, thank you, Niners, after that, he mentioned that he's not going to go through a rebuild, and rightfully so. He's 39 years old. He shouldn't want to rebuild. Packers are likely going to have to rebuild. If they are, Aaron Rodgers is not staying in Green Bay. He is requesting a trade. He is requesting a trade over and over until he gets it if they are going into a rebuilding phase. That means Devontae Adams, set to hit free agency. Devondre Campbell, set to hit free agency. Robert Tonyan, Kevin King, right guard. Who's the right guard's name? Lucas something. Lucas Tomlinson. What was it? Lucas Patrick. That's what it is. Multiple names set to hit free agency that we need Aaron Rodgers to be traded. And if they trade away Aaron Rodgers before June 1st, it'll save them $20 million of salary cap and will be $34.4 million against the cap. So they're probably not going to trade him before June 1st. They'd likely wait till afterwards, where it'll save them $27.6 million of salary and will be $26.7 million of dead cap. Yes, 100% a team will take on that cap. Okay, they will pay him 27.6. They will pay him $20 million either way. A team will trade away 3 first-round draft picks for Aaron Rodgers. He might be entering his 40s pretty soon here, but they're going to trade away 3 first-round draft picks for Aaron Rodgers because despite the fact that he's old, he's shown no sign of decline. He's made 2 straight Pro Bowls and 2 straight first-team All-Pros. He has 3 straight seasons where he has 13 wins. I mean, just an absolute monster of a quarterback. I'll admit it. He's an absolute beast and would look better than he would with the Packers if he was playing in Denver, if he was playing in Pittsburgh, if he was playing in Cleveland, if he was playing in Indianapolis. I mean, there's multiple trade destinations for Aaron Rodgers to go somewhere in the AFC, and I'm all in for it. And I've talked about this multiple times because I'm so hyped and I'm so happy, Niners, that you guys beat them. Aaron Rodgers could be traded and should be traded this upcoming offseason if they want him to. If the Packers are going to a rebuild, they're in a good position to rebuild. They have multiple big names on young players like Eric Stokes on their team. They have Darnell Savage, multiple young players on their team that they can rebuild their defense around. Their defense should be coming in stronger next year with how much money that they have entering free agency. They can load up on defense, young talent on defense, and hopefully trade away Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Devondre Campbell and Devontae Adams are gone as well. I would love to see that happen. Please, please, please trade away Aaron Rodgers. And I would love the Vikings to also trade away Kirk Cousins. And after that, after Rodgers and Kirk Cousins are traded, the NFC North will be the weakest by far division in NFL history. That's my prediction.